Thank you for joining us today for our Marketing First Framework. This is Series 3, Tax and Accounting Content Strategies for Success. My name is Lee Reams. I am the founder and CEO of AccountingWorks. And what I like about today's subject is it's something I do daily. Obviously we're creating content right now, but I've seen the power of content and the evergreen results that brings through to tax and accounting pros. So I'm excited to talk about some of the best practices here, come to the results that you can see in your own practice and easy ways to get this started. So today's agenda, we'll go through an introduction. We will talk about your Cornerstone asset. We'll say how you find your Cornerstone asset, developing your persona. I think this is an important element. Definitely take some notes during that. Creating supporting content types, how to promote your content, and then a recap of today's presentation. So about this webinar, this is approximately 50 minutes long. There is no CPE credit. This workshop is designed for US-based small tax and accounting practices. However, any other business or practice may benefit. So here is the introduction. The next big step in our Marketing First Framework series is content strategy. This is the long-term approach. So I call this evergreen, and what evergreen means is basically once you've created, it will continue to grow and bring traffic to your practice for years to come. So this is a long-term approach to educating and informing potential clients so that you can connect with them earlier in the buying process and position them to be easily converted when the time comes. So this basically is a pre-selling tool. So when someone actually does pick up the phone to contact you, they probably know all they know about you already. And then when it comes time to actually close them with a package, it becomes much easier. So most firms incorrectly assume that having a content strategy means having a blog. In fact, a blog makes up only 25% of a full content strategy. The other thing I see is a lot of firms that start off, let's say, on kind of like a DIY website. They build a WordPress site. They start a blog and they have 2 articles. Maybe they last 3 weeks. They have 3 articles, and then it starts collecting dust. So that's something that a lot of firms kind of mistakes they make. The other thing firms do is waste tons of time churning out mediocre blog posts on a huge range of topics. There was no clear strategy and no cohesion. Just a line on some low-level staff members' job description that says write X blogs per month. I think you guys can relate to that. In this workshop, you will learn exactly how much content you need to create, when you need to create it, and what you need to write about. Firms that implement this strategy, along with a strong positioning strategy and a conversion-focused website, typically see an increase in firm visibility of 200% within the first 12 months. I think that's an important thing. So realize patience is part of content strategies. This is a long-term game, more of a running a marathon than an instant gratification like a PPC campaign, but the results deliver for years to come. So getting started, the Marketing First Framework content strategy consists of a multi-dimensional content approach that is clearly organized and prioritized so that as to maximize the use of every piece you create. So content includes both online and offline pieces delivered through both paid and free channels. Every piece is created for a reason and centers around your flagship piece or cornerstone asset. So what is a cornerstone asset? A cornerstone asset is a big piece of content that addresses a critical challenge or opportunity for your target clientele, represents a unique point of view for your firm, directly relates to your expertise, and is based on both research and direct client experience. So this should be your largest and most comprehensive piece of content written to have a lasting value for years. It's going to serve as the foundation for your lead generation efforts, which means you're going to be directing a lot of traffic to it, which means it needs to be really, really good, right? So let's get into this a little bit more. Typically, a cornerstone asset is either a guide or an ebook. It's well-written, well-designed, extremely helpful and comprehensive, and it'll take your audience a good 20 to 30 minutes to read it. To the right, we have how to maximize your business tax deductions. We have created a bunch of these cornerstone assets for our current clients. These are available in our landing page product line and mostly for our VIP SEO type packages. So AccountingWorks Pro understands obviously what a cornerstone asset has done, and we've done a lot of the hard work. So as a VIP client with AccountingWorks Pro, you can choose from our collection of white papers and guides to insert on a landing page to generate new leads. Basically, as a current client, let our team know if you're interested because we can add this, and we do this now for many clients. Your primary goal isn't necessarily to give readers everything they need to solve their problem, although you shouldn't hold back either. And a lot of times there's a couple of clients that we have that are really prickly about this, and they feel sometimes, well, the content you guys are writing for me basically tells my client how to do everything, which is absolutely not true. The idea here is, just with anything, you want to inform as much as you can, but if you don't know the right answer to the question A or B, a DIYer, no matter how well informed, it's not going to be able to solve these kind of problems. So don't be afraid of sharing legitimate knowledge. Okay, this is not a how to do a TurboTax tax return, right? So it's more of creating content that is educational. So you want to position your firm as an expert on the topic you're presenting. You also want them to like and trust you. Okay, so this content is actually starting a relationship for you. So let's talk about how to find your Cornerstone asset. So what should your Cornerstone asset be about? What is your firm about? Okay. So some options we offer our clients include how to handle an IRS CP 2000. That's a very popular one that covers a lot of different IRS tax problems. Another idea here is the Essential Guide to Small Business Accounting, Taxes in the Gig Economy, and more. If you are focused on a vertical or niche, it could be taxes for expats living in Israel. I'm just giving that an example. You can get a little more granular with this. And especially if you're focusing on either a niche or a service type, I would definitely recommend developing and spending the time on building that Cornerstone asset around that pain point and that solution. So look back at your positioning statement, what we talked about in our previous webinars, series 1 and 2. What guide could you write to further position your firm as an expert in that area? So a few questions to ask yourself. What intro to guide do we wish we could hand all of our new clients, right? So, what do you wish your new clients knew prior to your first meeting? And what you're doing with your Cornerstone asset, you're actually starting to get them to open up their mind. So by the time you're talking to them, they're already thinking of some of the questions you're going to be asking. So has anyone else written the guide to, your market position yet? So what unique point of view do we have that no one else has? So you could use your Cornerstone asset to present and defend your unique angle, or even develop your own proprietary framework. And everyone handles solving problems in different ways. I also think this is a good point to start putting the persona, the kind of the personality of the firm in the Cornerstone asset. So it even could be even the style of how this is created, how it's written, how you tell your story and narrative. But basically think about what is that unique point of view. And I want to position something that no one else has, right? So you want to start standing out. Obviously, our graphic here is the pencil, but the idea is to take your firm and differentiate you from the masses. So what future challenges will our niche face? Do you have any insights and incoming obstacles your audience might not even be aware of, right? So start talking about the future, make them be aware of it. What is your niche going to look like 2, 5, or 10 years from now? Turn this into an in-depth guide on how your target audience can ready themselves for what's ahead. And a lot of this transformation has occurred because of the pandemic and now inflationary pressures that we're having today. So there's a lot of different ideas and different angles here that you can take. And a lot of this changed very quickly. So what could have been a transformation over decades has happened in months, years here. And I think that, yes, things will stabilize, but in a lot of ways, a lot of things are here to stay. So there's a lot of different opportunities you can use to develop your Cornerstone asset. So where do we have client concentration? So what specific struggle as a huge percent of your client base face? Survey them, ask them questions, right? And turn their answers into a rich testimonial infused story of how your firm can get clients in a similar situation on the right path. And nothing is better than any marketing material when your clients are telling the story for you. I think others, prospects, people that are in similar industries can relate more. And it also gives more, perceived value that more than another professional would. So if you have a bunch of clients that are telling a story that many of your prospects can identify with, they're going to think, hey, these people went through it and look at the results they made by using this accountant. Okay. So that's kind of the game plan here. So which gets into, I mentioned persona before, but let's talk about developing your persona. So let's define it real quick. A persona in user-centered design and marketing is a fictional character created to represent a user type that might use a site, brand, or product in a similar way. So for example, CountingWorks Pro has 3 personas that we create content and marketing messages to. And I'll even give them to you. So to our personas, we look at someone that is in growth mode that wants to grow very quickly. So they're more concerned about lead generation, finding new clients, converting them to clients. That's persona A. Persona B is someone that's an established firm. I'm so busy right now. I just want to be able to service my current clients. I want to put together a really nice, marketing package, hitting them up with newsletters. I want to look professional. I want to I want to be able to demand higher prices because of my digital presence. And the third one is, hey, I'm so busy right now, I can't handle anything more. I need to save time. So how can I use technology to save me time? So whether that is writing blog articles, for example, creating white papers, whether that be on onboarding clients, getting e-signatures, sharing documents, so I can go on and on how that would work. But before you start writing, take the time to get super clear about who your audience is for this specific piece of content. Okay, so you might have content built for the different personas, but it's helpful to develop a specific persona, this fictional character representative of your target audience, and write directly to that person. So just pretend that they're, sitting across from you in your office and you're having a conversation. Write this content around that person's needs directly to what they care about. Okay, and that's going to be important. So when sketching out a persona, give them a specific age, profession, title, position at minimum, but the more detail, the better. Okay. So write out their desires, but specifically, and I'm going to stop real quick. We actually have full on 8.5 by 11, 3-page persona kind of descriptions, I would say, with photos, the same thing that we're talking about here today. And we define these and change these as we need to. So write about their desires. But specifically, I want to find an accountant I can trust. And more broadly, I want to stop feeling fearful about money. These are just examples, right? Then write 2 final super important lists, a list of their struggles, things they've tried so far and or were stuck with, and a list of their fears. And I think that's really important because a lot of times the fears and speaking to those fears will get an emotional reaction more than the solving their struggles, because sometimes the effort that is put into the struggle side, well, I can still deal with this, it's not that big of a deal, is not as big of a motivator as, oh my God, I might be bankrupt in a year. I might run out of money. I can't support my family. The fear side is really important. And we definitely suggest spending time there. So it's helpful to think about a specific client you've already worked with and develop a persona based on that person. So Cornerstone assets are by far the most difficult to create. I didn't say it was easy, but ideally they're evergreen. I've used that word before, meaning they will stay relevant for years or forever. And what's great about this content is, think about it. Once you get a landing page, for example, or a funnel going to this Cornerstone content, and you're starting to convert people, this is where you get predictable leads on a month-to-month basis. So unlike a referral-based business where you're at the whims of the economy and or your clients, or when you see them, seasonal aspects, content like this will generate leads year-round and forever, and they build upon themselves. Meaning, if you're successful and you have a successful landing page with Cornerstone content, for example, you'll rank higher in the search engines and get more visitors over time. So that will make the rest of your content creation strategy a breeze. So you'll have a masterful piece of content to center the rest of your work around, and your content will actually have a purpose. And that's what I was saying in the beginning, is a lot of times as people are throwing, darts, basically. It's kind of wherever it lands. This is giving you a little more of a focus of what you're trying to accomplish and a purpose to do that. So our team at CountingWorks Pro is ready with content projects when you are. We've already created a lot of this. So, give us some ideas of what you guys are looking to do. We always throw in new content that makes sense for the masses. So definitely something to talk to us about. So creating supporting content. So once you have your Cornerstone asset created, the next step is a cinch. You're simply going to spin it into several other types of smaller content. And we do this as well. So for example, we'll record a podcast or a webinar like this, and we'll break it up into smaller snippets. So think of a 60-minute webinar, but we're only going to post on social media, let's say slide 24. Okay. So think social media posts and videos, infographics, webinars, guest posts, and blog posts that represent a specific detail from your Cornerstone piece. So remember, your Cornerstone piece is like this is a 50-some slide deck. If it's a PDF document, it could be 20 to 30 pages. So you're going to try to take a snippet from that and reposition it into your other channel, your other marketing channels. So there's no such thing as an omni-channel. You have multiple channels where people come through. This is the way you get a lot more out of, or I guess, a lot more bang for your buck on creating your content and be able to reposition it so you can get smaller snippets that people will absorb on social media, and that will lead them to the bigger piece. Okay. So these snack sized pieces of content are incredibly attractive to prospects and will almost always usher them directly to your Cornerstone asset. So I think now you're starting to see the method here, the strategy, and kind of how it works. And it doesn't feel as overwhelming per se, when you start thinking about how you could do this on your own if you did something custom. So here's what you need to do. Step one, break your Cornerstone asset back down into an outline. You should be able to come up with 20 to 30 unique headlines from individual sections in that piece, each of which could be presented on its own. For example, we could easily write a whole blog post on the process of developing supporting content for a Cornerstone asset, which is just one tiny section of the guide you're reading right now, right? So maybe we will. And what I'm saying is, this is what we do. I'm giving you our secret sauce. This is 100% what we do. And we've actually been expanding the reach and the amount of content. We're even hiring some more people to help us develop content. This is a major area and way we grow. Step two, choose 2 to 3 content types that lend themselves best to each mini headline and summarize how you would customize the topic for each. Which brings us into the content types. So this is important. And again, in CountingWorks Pro, we do a lot of this for you, but we're just going to explain this to you. And we are all for people to supplement the content that we have written or created for you. We are not a custom ad agency. So, we're charging in the hundreds of dollars a month, not $10,000 a month. And that's kind of what an agency rate would be, right? So we can go so far. We're going to coach you on best practices and things that we can do. We can scale as much as we can, but some of these examples are things that you might want to invest some time in to supplement some of the content that we already create for you. So blog posts, you can create a whole blog series from free rework sections of your Cornerstone asset. So in other words, they're already half written, right? You've already spent the time. Now let's just reword it, spin it. So make sure to include plenty of juicy keywords and phrases to drive meaningful traffic. Social media posts, turn relevant quotes and statistics from the Cornerstone asset into social media posts that point directly to your Cornerstone asset. So what will happen here, and if you boost it or do some paid campaigns on social, you can drive even more traffic. But basically, if you have a good following, you're using these snippets to drive people to the Cornerstone asset to download perhaps the white paper as an example. But it's just going to help you generate a bit more leads. So that's how you would use the social media posts. Social media videos. This is something that we are expanding on ourselves. This right now is the hot area. So and this is where we can't do this for you. We can give you content for it, but the reality is you need to start doing some recording of yourself. The live stuff is legit. There's a lot of volume that comes through there. Instagram Live is an example, Facebook Live, YouTube as well. Videos are getting huge traction right now and are one of the most powerful ways to get yourself in front of prospective clients. Now, what's interesting here is a lot of times people feel interrupted when businesses try to advertise to them on their feeds. But the reality is, if it's something that they work in or something that is going to benefit them, the conversion rates are incredibly high. So you can turn these videos into ads targeting specific demographics so that people not following your accounts will see them too. This is where you can have kind of like so here's your followers. I need to follow people like this. And that's how you can target people that are similar to the current clients that you're focusing on. Infographics. People love visual data. Infographics are way more engaging and much more likely to be shared than plain text. Also, sites like Canva and Infogram, all these are now making them super easy to create yourself without a graphic designer. So something definitely to think about. We use Canva, just FYI. It makes it easier for us to turn content faster than waiting for a traditional design option. And then webinars, like what we're talking about today. So turn your blog post into a mini presentation and run ads on social media to invite people to tune in. Zoom is great for hosting online webinars. There's a bunch of different tools that you can use for these, but the reality is we get a ton of people watching our content. We also put them on YouTube. We have podcasts that we put out as well. All of this content is generating buzz, attracting visitors to our content on a daily basis. It's definitely, if you have the time to put something together, I definitely suggest it. There's a lot of different discussions on the length of the webinars or if it's videos, but definitely something you should explore. Case studies. If you're working on niche, case studies provide a ton of value as part of your Cornerstone strategy. Make a point to tie your case study back to your in-depth Cornerstone asset, as we've been talking about. So I've said this before, I will repeat it because it's important. Your current clients, so their experiences, their pain points, having quotes from them, having them explain how they've benefited in their own words are some of the best pre-selling tools you can ever use. It takes a prospect that is comparing you to other people. If you have some strong case studies, it's really going to reinforce and give them a little more. It takes the risk side out of making a decision of who to work with. So they see a bunch of people that you've already worked with and done a good job with. That's going to make it much easier for them to convert. Okay. So following this process, you should be able to relatively easily generate at least 40 to 90 ideas for unique pieces of mini content. Then all you need to do is schedule them out over the next 6 to 12 months. Since your Cornerstone asset is so solid, you may even feel comfortable completely delegating the task of creating and posting these mini content pieces. So it's definitely, once you have it set up, you can schedule it, get it on a calendar, and just start to roll. So now you're driving your content like an actual campaign. So following this strategy will put you light years ahead of other firms who are still struggling to think of something to write about on a weekly basis. So imagine having the next year mapped out and most of the hard work already done. And then when you're squeezed every last drop out of your Cornerstone asset, all you need to do is create another one and repeat the process. So what I'm getting at is a lot of times I hear from tax and accounting pros, they have no time to market. They have no time to do anything. The reality is, you invest a little time, but once it's there, the beauty of technology and digital marketing is that it runs on its own. So it's an investment that will pay in evergreen, as we say, so for years to come. So it's definitely an investment in your firm, not a cost. So let's talk about promotion. Now you've created the Cornerstone asset. How do I get people to see it, right? So obviously for best results, you need to promote your content. Every time you post a new piece of supporting content, your real intention is to promote your Cornerstone asset. So imagine having a Cornerstone asset so solid that site visitors start sending it to their colleagues. They start sharing it, right? That goes viral, excited to share something brilliant they discovered. This is a content marketing snowball that will only continue to pick up speed the more you promote it. So here are some of our favorite ways to promote content. Social media marketing, Facebook and LinkedIn provide hyper targeting for your designated niche down to the role they play within the organization. Best of all, these channels are extremely affordable. One of the things I see with tax and accounting professionals is when it comes to promoting content, they don't put the proper budget or the proper time investment. You'll see someone who will, I could spend $300 a month and I give it a month or two. The reality is it takes them a couple months just to get the algorithms to fine tune that your content, your keywords are all matched up and you're getting the best results. So things change, you iterate campaigns. And by the time it's starting to work is usually when these people with limited budgets quit. So I always say to them, don't even start. If you don't have a real budget, which to me is $500 to $1,000 a month minimum, our budget is $10,000 a month on this. So just to get an idea, it's definitely something that you have to be committed to, okay? LinkedIn posts. Publish every blog post your organization produces to your LinkedIn account. Guess what? CountyWorks Pro already does that for you. This notifies your LinkedIn network, which will likely be connected to other contacts within your niche. You'll realize not everybody is going to have a ton of activity on the actual blog post unless you have a really large audience and you're out there getting a lot of shares or you're an expert in something. But the reality is your brand is basically in front of your prospects and clients on a daily basis or weekly basis or daily, whatever it is. So there's a lot of, almost a billboard effect, if that makes sense to you. The other way is AdWords. So you can target your prospects while they're actively searching for your topic on Google, send them to your landing page and watch the leads roll in. This is where it's a traditional pay-per-click model. And this is where you need a proper budget in my mind. And then guest posting. So reach out to industry websites. You can also put yourself out there on Haro. I've talked about this before, Haro, help a reporter out. It is a place where writers that are writing about topics, specifically in the tax, accounting, personal finance, business, subjects. These writers are writing about these topics every day. You can present yourself as an expert and be interviewed and or quoted. So reach out to industry websites that have a substantial larger audience than you, and put together an in-depth piece of content that reviews your findings in your Cornerstone asset. So this is another way that you could actually pitch your content to writers. They're always looking for ideas. They're looking for content. This is a way that you'll be able to get found, basically. So you'll be surprised how many will agree to share your post. Remember, they're struggling with content creation too, and the exposure is invaluable. And what you'll see is firms that are heavy into content marketing would be much more receptive to this because they understand the power of getting more and more networks together. There's a network effect to this. So definitely look into guest posting. Facebook and LinkedIn groups. We kind of think LinkedIn groups are kind of dead a little bit. Facebook has been much more active. So search for industry relevant Facebook and LinkedIn groups. There probably are some active LinkedIn groups, so I don't want to completely kill that idea. But look at these that fit in within your niche to post and share relevant content. So you don't want to be in there spamming it. But if you come in there as an expert and you engage the audience with helpful information and occasionally, post your Cornerstone asset or some of the snippets to that, they will not frown upon it. So you should be fine doing it that way. Email marketing. Email marketing is one of the strongest tools that we have. This is a huge one, but we'll go into more in the next section, as well as how Accounting Works subscription can support you. But email newsletters are one of the most read pieces of content that our tax and accounting pros send out, with reader rates 30 to 50%. So it's definitely, if you don't have your database loaded in your Accounting Works Pro system, get that loaded now. The 3.0 product, you actually can segment your email newsletter to various targeted groups. So you could have 4 or 5 newsletters actually, and each one could have different content. So if and when you're ready to migrate over to 3.0, the new platform, that's definitely another bonus. So let's talk about bringing it all together. A lot of firms get hung up on how much content they need to be creating. So to keep it simple, your firm should be targeting a minimum of 2,000 words a month in supporting content. Do you know how much we write for you? I think now we're up to like 18 to 20 articles a month. We also have all of the Cornerstone assets, the white papers for landing pages. We also did curated content for our VIP clients that are multiple posts, usually a day. There's a ton of content that goes with this. This is kind of the suggestion of supplementing some of the stuff we do. Again, we're not an ad agency. We're going to coach you on how to do it. But basically, if you do have a specific vertical where you can create some content on your own, you can easily write 1 article a month that totals 2,000 words. What we have found, and studies have found, that the 2,000 words, if it's a blog article, for example, the longer the content, the more in depth the content, the higher it ranks. And Google just seems to reward longer content. So, keep in mind, you still need a variety of sources, right? So aim to hit each area within the content marketing wheel below at least once each month. So what do we have there? We have email, social media. That's the micro content. We have short content, which are the articles, the videos, interactive content. So you have podcasts, webinars. You have spoken content. So that could be speaking or presentations, right? And then, of course, the flagship content is these research reports, these ebooks, things that these larger Cornerstone products or pieces of content that you're driving people to do. So all of these different areas, all of these channels will drive people to your Cornerstone content, which will be kind of the way you start converting these people into leads. So the opportunity analyzer, how much content are we creating each month now? Do we have a process for sharing our content on social media? And again, CountingWorks Pro automates a lot of this for you with the normal content that we create. We're doing tax prep related, tax planning, life events, huge on life events. Every life event you can ever think of, we handle. Obviously, all the business issues. There's a ton of content that we're using. So, we're creating for you. But the reality is, if you're looking to dominate a specific niche, you're going to have to do some of this work on your own. So are we using paid as well as free channels to increase reach? Do we have any content now that we can turn into our Cornerstone asset? These are all important questions. And this is why I want you to be all in if you do this. So if you dedicate it and do it right, put the time in and be patient, it 100% will pay off. So why most firms fail? There is no question that thought leadership content is is important to prospective clients, but it has to be good content. So some stats here, 96% said thought leadership content was a significant factor in selecting a consultancy. Think about that. 93% said when content is of high quality, it raises their opinion of the firm. 94% said when content is poor, it lowers their opinion of a consulting firm, right? So this is kind of obvious. So that's why we try to, unlike some of our competitors, I think that just do the same old cheesy, dated looking designs and graphics. I feel like our stuff that we create at CountingWorks Pro is just on a higher level. Even our white papers, the designs, the amount of work, the graphic, the quality of the design that goes into it, the images we use. It's not the cheap, I'm copying IRS bulletins and I'm putting together some 1970s looking piece of material. That's what our competition does. We do not do that here at CountingWorks. And these stats right here are why we don't. It is important. Looking good matters, okay? Most firms are just spinning their wheels, creating random pieces of content that never go deep enough into any particular topic. The entire point of the Cornerstone asset strategy is to help firms zero in on a few key topics and cover them deeply. That doesn't mean you can't change topics every 6 to 12 months, but the point is to stay focused and fully cover one topic at a time from every angle in order to really become the thought leader on that one big idea and before moving on to the next. So let's do a recap here. Great content, whether it be evergreen, that's the new word. So now you guys know what evergreen means in marketing and content creation, right? So how-to pieces, updates on the latest regulatory changes. We're doing that on tax planning, tax law changes, or even your reviews, right? It should inspire action in your readers. We share your 5-star reviews on social media as they come into both TaxBuzz and CountingWorks. And that's why we do that. These are just little snippets. So these are the snippets of your content that help create and drive people to your brand. So you won't have to tell them to hire you because being a part of the public conversation will showcase your expertise all on its own. So over 50% of our growth level subscribers' website traffic comes from their blog and social content. Actually, well, it is over 50%. 50% if they don't have social. If they add social, there's another 10% boost. So that's significant, right? That is a big difference. And sometimes, as a marketer in a tech firm, when we're trying to coach our clients and we get pushback to, for example, being on social media, or even the blog, it's like banging our head against the wall, trying to explain this is how it works. And we do it we repeat this for, client after client. So, it's once you're in there, this is a long game. There's no instant gratification when it comes to digital marketing. Okay. You need to focus on building up your content over time, and your practice will have a solid foundation for lead generation strategy that lasts. So if you have any questions about meaningful content creation, so exploring some of the current out-of-the-box Cornerstone assets that we have today, or perhaps you have some suggestions or things that you're trying to develop on your own, we can help you, right? Or how to start finding more web referrals, contact us today, 800-442-2477. Our support number is extension 4. Extension 3 is the onboard manager, more of the business development coaching side, or set up some time to speak with one of our digital marketing experts. So the VIP team has their calendar options. Our customer success has calendar options. We do calendar appointment style coaching because it's the only way for us to properly organize. You can't give a proper experience if you're doing an inbound, like AT&T type phone service, or a cable company. That's not what we're all about. We're here to spend some time with you, really consult with you, kind of analyze what you're doing today, and then give you suggestions on how to get to the next level. So I hope this information has been valuable on content. That's kind of the ins that we've given you the cliff notes of content creation. Obviously, Accounting Works Pro, we spend an exorbitant amount of time creating content for you. We've added it up before. I think it was like $30,000, $40,000 minimum in labor if you tried to replicate what we do. But that's even if you can find the expertise to do it. So it's a lot of work. We are constantly following trends. We're testing different content out there to see if we get more responses on different types of approaches. So there's definitely a method to the madness, so to speak. So I hope you appreciate all the content, all the positive responses we see in our clients' reviews. I mean, how often do you see on accounting sites, I love their newsletter. They keep us informed. That happens every day with Accounting Works content. So if you have any questions about your content strategy, reach out to us at help@accountingworkspro.com. We value you as a client and hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.